Karan, welcome to India today. I quickly want to jump in and ask you what has been your most favorite moment from the premiere? Let's just get off the most freshest thing off you first.
Oh my God, the most best moment was just seeing Ryan and Hugh in person again, because they really are movie stars, and even though I've spent more time with Ryan than Hugh, obviously, I still get giddy seeing him in real life because real life movie stars just have that feeling. They walk in a room and you're like, oh my God, and you just feel excited to be around them. So that was it was just nice anytime you get to reunite with him because I don't get to see him that often. So.
For anyone who's watching this perhaps and is one day dreaming of making it, like it all starts with a dream. You manifest
Yeah.
things, you visualize them, you never say never. You're a living testament of it. What's the one what's the one trick to sort of be okay around these guys? Because I mean, come on, you're talking about Hugh Jackman
Mm.
and Ryan Reynolds. How does one
Yeah, it's such a good question. No one's asked me that. I think the best thing is to treat them like a real human being because I think what happens with very recognizable people is everyone acts weird around them. And I think then they feel weird because they feel like they can't, like they're having to, like, they're feeling you feeling weird or your phone is out and you want to take a photo or whatever it is. So I think the more you can just try to, and it's hard, but you just try to be like, this is a normal person I've met at, Starbucks or something. And then they actually, because that's what everyone wants. Everyone just wants, like, to interact. And I think at a certain point when you're at that level of fame, like your life is so insulated because you're always being looked at and stared at, and I think you're starving for connection in many ways. So I think the more that you can just be real and talk about real things like you would me and you, I think is better. But obviously, it's hard. But and then I would say this is the culture now a lot, but asking for photos and doing all that stuff, if you can avoid that and just have a connection, I think is always good. Because the minute the phone comes out, it all feels fake, everything else you've done, because it feels like we're just trying to capture that one moment. And then that's, its own
everyone take cues? I think you've given us some really good cues to
thing.
follow. When
Yeah.
I spoke to Sean Levy, the
Yeah.
director, I said, I know it's a tricky one, but if you had to take sides, you have Deadpool and you have Wolverine. He's
Oh
like,
my
you're putting me
gosh.
in such a tricky space. They're both my friends. How could I even think of this? And I know perhaps even asking you this could be trickier because I know who's at the back seat sitting and who's the guy you're driving. But if you could, just objectively take sides, whose team would you pick?
Between Hugh and Ryan?
Yeah, between Deadpool and
And
Wolverine.
Wolverine? Oh my God, it's easy for me and not easy for Sean. But for me, it's Deadpool always, all the way. All the way. Yeah, I mean, I feel like so, when we made that first movie, it was much smaller movie. No one was paying attention to it. It was made at a relatively more modest budget than the sequels. And we all really were making something, we really felt like making something different and special because obviously in Hollywood it's hard to make something more original, and it was R-rated and all these things that had not been done before, and we really felt like you really felt you were part of something different, and we didn't think it was gonna, no one thought it was gonna be this mainstream successful. We thought we would make like a cool movie that like film lovers would be like, I love that superhero movie, whatever. And now it's become this like big thing. But so I think that entire experience, I think anyone who worked on the first movie, I feel so bonded to, and my loyalty is so easy because it just was a special experience, and that was 9 years ago now. We shot that in 2015. So that to me, Ryan and all of that will always be. But what's interesting, you brought up Sean, is I had a Sean experience, and this is a good Sean story. Is back when I was auditioning even before Deadpool in 2012, I want to say maybe 2012, 2011, maybe. I auditioned for a movie that Sean directed called The Internship, and I went through like six and seven rounds of auditions, and then I got to the final round, and it was to read with Vince Vaughn, who was the star of the movie, and Sean. And I was so nervous. I had never met a movie star like that before, and auditions, anyways, are so nerve-wracking. And I walked into the audition room, and Sean was so kind, so nice, and we did the audition, and it went well. I didn't end up getting the role, and then Twitter was still a little bit newer, and Sean like messaged me on Twitter, and I was like a nobody actor, and he was like, hey, you did such a good job, these things are many cooks in the kitchen, like many different things make a decision, but you did a really good job, and like keep going. And I was like 22, maybe 23 years old, so like right at the beginning of this journey, and it was like so meaningful to me. So all these years later, last year I was in London, and I was like flying over, and I was like, oh my God, like the world, like it just all is full circle. I was like about to go work with Sean. And I was like, I'm gonna bring up the story. And I began to say, we've met before. And he said, the internship, blah, blah, blah. And he remembered everything. And I was like, oh my God, like that is a good man. It's like, he didn't have to be kind to me or anything, but it made such a difference. But it just is who he is. So that's a Sean story for you.
That's such a cool Sean story. Thank you for sharing that. That's such a cool story. I mean, very rarely we get these insights. But I quickly want to jump perhaps to stories closer to home and speak about the fact that both you and Ryan have spoken about their love for Ranveer Singh and Shah Rukh Khan.
Yes.
And Shah
Yes.
Rukh Khan has a special significance in this particular film because there's a reference to him. I want to just
Yes.
speak to you about little Easter eggs that people picked up when, Mera Joota Hai Japani started playing on the radio in the first. Everybody in the
Yeah.
theater just went mad. They were like, oh,
Yeah.
we were like jamming in our seats and we were like so proud of the fact that, come on, we are being represented universally. Speak to me about
Yeah.
that a bit.
Yeah, honestly, to be completely honest, like I had been in Hollywood for maybe like 8 years when I auditioned for the first Deadpool, and I felt very much like in that world, and I wasn't thinking that much about the representation because I honestly had done so many projects by that point that didn't make it out to India or were seen in many ways in a big way because these hadn't done a big movie like this. So I remember doing this movie, and I didn't even really think about that impact because it was like almost like I was in my own world in LA and then everything else in India because India has such a thriving industry of its own. So it's like anything Hollywood has to be the biggest thing and be different from anything that is made there. So a lot of stuff doesn't end up going over there. So I remember doing it. And then I remember when it came out, I really it landed for real because a lot of my high school friends went to the movie theater that we used to go to all the time in Delhi and they were watching Deadpool. And I was like, this is so crazy to think. And they took videos and stuff. And they still, my cousins and all still do, like when the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse came out, they sent me all these videos of people cheering, watching there. And it is still like, it's very emotional for me. But I definitely didn't think about that then. And it's hard to process any of it because I grew up such a movie lover in India. And to think that like I'm in movies sometimes and they sometimes play, it's like such a crazy thing that if I think about it too much, I'll freak out. But yeah, it makes me very proud. And after Deadpool 1, honestly, I began thinking about that more. Like I used to think like, will people be proud of this character or this thing or whatever that we're doing? But prior to that, I had never thought about it because nothing had had the impact like that movie had in India specifically. So yeah, and the song Mera Jita Japani, all credit for that goes to Aditya Sood, who is one of the producers of Deadpool 1 and 2. And it's his dad's favorite song, and he grew up listening to that all the time. So when they were like, we need a song, he was like, it has to be this one, which I was like, this is amazing.
Okay, we don't have much time, but if you could put on the director's hat and hypothetically cast an Indian actor to play a superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, who do you think will fit the bill? Because now, come on, you know exactly what it takes. You've been there. No, nobody else could answer it
Yeah.
better than you. Who would you cast? Come on.
Well, because Ryan said Ranveer and Ranveer voiced, Ryan in the Hindi version, obviously in the second Deadpool. I have to say him. I think he's got all of it. But in a weird way, I want him to play a villain because I feel like villains have more fun. He just has like that energy to me that I think would play really good. I think he would be good in any Hollywood movie. I think people here would love him in many ways. But he to me looks like a full-fledged movie star that could be a movie star in America too. So yeah, I would say him. And I love his story too. He comes from like being an unknown, and out to me, I always root all those people because I feel that myself. And so it's so hard, I think, even harder in India to achieve what he has achieved. And to me, he feels so Indian. Like he feels like so part of the culture, and I think he'll bring that if he gets to do something here. Like he'll bring the Indian culture even more to the international stage. So
We like that answer. We like Ranveer as a dark superhero villain. I think we'll go with that.
yes.
And would we ever see you in an Indian movie any day? Are you
I would love
open
to
to
do it. I
options?
would love to do it. The way it works is that, I have American agents and stuff, and they don't really know about a lot of those projects. So often it takes someone in India reaching out to them. And so if they do, I would definitely like, I don't, I grew up, mostly watching Bollywood. I came only to America, LA when I was 18. So I mostly grew up watching YRF and Dharma movies. So like to me, like, it's my dream one day to, and I make this joke a lot, but Indian movies, like the Dharma movies, have the best lighting because everyone looks amazing. And I was like, these people know, cinematographers know how to light brown skin. And I was like, one time I want to be lit by a Dharma DP. That's that all I'm asking for, so I can have that image somewhere. But no, I would love to do that. And, you know, like, life is long. There's many things. I never thought in the beginning I would be in a movie with Ryan or, you know, any of this. And I'm always open to whatever happens. So yeah, I would love to.
Absolutely. Let's send this tape to Karan Johar and maybe he will watch and give you a dial. You never say, never know. On that note, congratulations on the film and so many things. I'm so looking forward to seeing what you're up to next. Thank you for this lovely chat, Karan. Take care.